Roll call.
Fairboak,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Eisenbrand,
Here.
Herman,
Yep.
Hodge,
Here.
Jacobs,
Here.
Clancy.
Here.
Okay, next item is approve the agenda. I do need to move item 7A, which is the items from visitors, the proclamation. Because they could not be here tonight, we're just going to move that to the consent agenda. Are there any other changes I'm not aware of?
Move to approve as amended. Second.
Any discussion? I don't know if you got that, Michelle Clarenbeck. Okay. Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Eisenbrand,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Clancy.
Yes.
Any potential conflicts of interest? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Eisenbrand,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Clancy.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Under items from visitors, we have, we're moving to 7B. Consider an appeal of public nuisance determination. And are you taking this, Ashley?
Yeah, I'll give the background on this.
Okay.
First of all, this is the first one we've had, so I'll just explain why we're here, why we're hearing this case in this forum. State law defines vicious dogs and declares them to be public nuisances. And then also under state law, cities can abate nuisances, file civil actions to respond to them, do a variety of things in response to a public nuisance. Under our ordinances, city council hears appeals of public nuisances, determinations of a public nuisance. So that's why we're here. Mr. Olson is appealing the city staff's determination that his dog is vicious and therefore a public nuisance. The situation with this particular dog, there have been a few incidents. The first one, as relevant for this hearing, I guess, is on August 6th, the dog attacked someone while that person was in an outdoor common area of an apartment complex. The dog bit her face and caused severe lacerations to her face,
The meeting needs
requiring...
to start the audio.
Yep, just one moment. Start the audio.
Okay,
Bottom left.
hold on, I got it.
Whoever's got the meeting needs to
Yeah, I
start the
know,
audio.
I'm getting to it. I got it, okay. Can you hear us now?
Yes, ma'am.
You are, okay,
Okay.
thank you. Go ahead, Ashley.
So the August 6th incident resulted in severe lacerations to the person's face. And then on August 17th, the dog got away from its owner and was running at large. The owner was able to get the dog, but in the meantime, someone had reported it because as the dog was trying to get into her backyard. Then on September 24th, the dog ran out of a hotel room while someone was trying to deliver pizza to the room and attacked her, and it bit at her clothing. It didn't puncture her, didn't break any skin, but it ripped her clothing. And then these two incidents follow two prior incidents from February of 2019 and March of 2020, where the dog was playing with someone else's dog and bit people, bit the owners while he was playing with those dogs. So under state law, they define what a vicious dog is, and it's any dog which, when unprovoked, in a vicious and terrifying manner, approaches an apparent attitude of attack, or bites, inflicts injury, assaults, or otherwise attacks a person on public grounds or in public places. Or any dog which, when unprovoked and on private property, in a vicious and terrifying manner, approaches an apparent attitude of attack, or bites, inflicts injury, or otherwise attacks a delivery person or another person who has permission to be on the property. Based on this information and incidents that occurred, made the determination that this dog easily fits within the definition of a vicious dog under both subsections and is therefore a public nuisance. And after discussing what our abatement options would be, it was determined that euthanization is the one that keeps the community the safest, given this dog's history and escalating incidents of events.
I'm the owner.
Just one moment here. Any questions, Brad? No, okay, and you're Corey?
Yes, sir.
Corey, why don't you come on up to the microphone so everyone can hear you?
I'm the owner of the dog, and he's not by any means vicious. He does get excited every now and then, which I completely understand. I've been working with him on that. I can relocate the dog, like, immediately within 48 hours, if given the chance. He's so young. He's only, I've only had him for 2 years, and I rescued him. He is a registered emotional support dog and service dog. He helps with my mental disability and my PTSD. So I would like the council to reconsider the euthanization as long as I can get him out or get him out of the city within 48 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Could you say your name a little louder?
You bet. Luann Stein.
Okay, thank you.
I have written letters to different people, organizations. I don't believe a 3-year-old dog is non-trainable. And they're saying that's why they're going to euthanize him. He's not a bad dog. If you let me near him, I could prove that to you. I am 58 years old, and that dog has never even come close to attacking me. I don't believe that the dog should be euthanized. I believe it should go to a rightful place that has good training for him. It's not the dog's fault. It's not. And it's not fair that you should euthanize a dog that he can be trainable. He can. He's a good dog. And I'd even take him if you'd let me.
Okay, thank you.
Please don't euthanize him.
Okay, thank you.
Meet him first.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, come on up, please.
Sure. I don't know if you can hear me. My name is Katie Sickle. I'm also partially owner of the dog. We have had several incidences. Some of them were not correct, such as the jogger incident. Another lady with the dog on August 17th, we were in the city limits, but we were not in town. We were on the outskirts of the city limits. So there are several things that were brought up, such as the lady being bit in the face. She was never bit in the face. She jumped up and she fell, so her tooth kind of came through her skin. So there are several incidents that have happened, but we never got any paperwork on it and stuff like that. We got one thing about the dog at large getting out. So we got that dog at large ticket, which we still need to pay, but we were planning to pay it as soon as we can. There's just been several incidences that have occurred, but they have never caused any vicious harm. He's never bit anybody. So we would like to not euthanize him because he's a good dog.
So there are police reports that say that he has bit people, so that those are you don't believe those are accurate?
Well, for example, the one with the lady that he jumped, she got too close. She had been forewarned that he likes to jump, that he can get excited and stuff like that. She decided to still go down and pet him. He came up and hit her, and the police were there, and all we were asked is if we had a dog. We didn't get anything with that as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments? Chief Jacobs, anything to add? I know we have like 40 pages of.
Right. In those packets, you've been able to read what the officers had to say and how many times they responded to talk to them about the dog. Let me come up on the last one. So on the last incident that happened at the motel with the pizza delivery person, officers were not comfortable enough taking the dog to the Humane Society to have it impounded. So they had Corey, who agreed, and he walked the dog to the impoundment rather than us just trying to put a catch pole on it because they were afraid of the dog.
Okay,
So one thing that's probably not in there right now.
okay, thank you. Okay. So our job here is to consider the appeal and then make a motion. You ready to do that?
I would move not to overturn the findings.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to just add something. I mean, I feel for everyone that's involved, but I don't know that it's our place here on council. I understand why it's here, but to question the police and to question the city attorney in terms of what's happened, you know, I agree with the motion. I just don't think it's our place to overturn that right now.
Anything else from the council? I do want to add, I've been here 8 years and we've never had a dog case like this come up, so this is not common. And I understand, very much understand your love for the animal and respect that, but we are also here to protect the public.
Give me 48 hours on another time.
We have a motion and a second.
Is that possible, ma'am?
No, well, we already have a motion on the floor, so we're gonna finish what we're doing and then we'll go from there, okay? So the motion is to uphold the decision. And we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Is that possible, ma'am?
It is not, I'm sorry.
Why not? If there's somebody else willing to take him that's out of state, why euthanize a dog that doesn't deserve it? I don't understand.
It's a public safety issue.
Even if it's a ranch,
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am.
just meet the dog once, would you? It's not fair. It's not fair. He's a good dog. He's a very good dog.
Okay, city attorney, we have adopt resolution 2020-30. This is a resolution of intent to enter into lease agreement with Jamie Johnson at 615 Maitland.
Yes, Jamie Johnson is currently renting the home that's located at that address. This is an update of the lease to bring the rents closer to market rents. There's an escalator, so each year it will go up. Right now, it's $500 a month, so we're gonna, over the next few years, work toward getting that to market rate. And then we have to have a public hearing at the next meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then the same thing with Jennifer Johnson for 625 Maitland.
Yes, similar situation as well, bringing the rent up to market rate.
No,
I'm just curious if these are the original tenants from when the city bought the property.
Yes.
is there a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Under engineering, approve the Exit 8 Area Community Path, Phase 1 easement agreement between Spearfish Forest Products, Spearfish Pellet Company, and the city.
I need to make sure Kyle, can you hear us, Kyle?
Yep, I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Can you bring him up?
This is just, we've been, the final changes to an easement document agreed upon by city staff and Spearfish Forest Products. We're all completed here. We went back and forth several times now. We feel it's ready to move forward and consider approval tonight with the council. this easement just allows the city of Spearfish to use portions of Spearfish Forest Products properties along Hillsview and McGuigan Road to construct, use, and maintain a new 10-foot rec path, and which will be constructed as part of the Exit 8 Area Community Path Phase 1. A couple of things I wanted to point out that we went back and forth on with the owner, and just want to make clear. Number one is the Section 4 term of agreement. We have an initial term of agreement for 10 years for the easement, and thereafter the agreement may continue for 2 additional terms of 10 years, so 30 years total on that. And then the other item I wanted to point out is Section 7.6.1. Just so everybody's under the understanding here, the owner is willing to relocate any portion of the pathway during the initial term of the agreement, which is the first 10 years. They wanted the flexibility in case they need to move something for operations, move the rec path. They were willing to do that 100% their cost for the first 10 years, but it would be borne to the city if needed relocating anytime thereafter the 10 years. So other than that, the rest of the verbiage and everything's pretty standard. Just need this last piece here, and we will be able to submit to the DOT to have them formally review the whole plans and easements and everything else.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any way to turn up that volume? That was very,
Yeah, it'd be over there on the.
it'd be over here, okay. Because I know we will have someone else speaking, and we'll have to turn it
Let me
up.
see if I can adjust here.
Okay. Finance, we have adopt resolution 2020-26, acknowledging a correction to August 19, 2019.
There was an error in the printed bill list on the August 19th, 2019 council minutes. One line item was omitted from the official minutes, so approval of this resolution will add that line item back into the official minute books of the city.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have resolution 2020-29.
Same thing, this is a correction from the March 4th, 2002 council minutes. The council minutes indicate the area annexed was to be added into the Ruby Ridge edition, but the resolution on file with the Lawrence County Register of Deeds and the resolution that I maintain in a separate official book of the city both say Ruby Ridge edition number 2 of the city of Spearfish. So we just want to make that clarification in the minutes from 2002 that the number 2 should be added in there.
Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Michelle. Under public safety, approve the lease agreement with South Dakota Division of Criminal Investigations pertaining to the office area in the basement of City Hall. I do
Mayor,
know,
we do have Pat.
Yep.
Pat, can you hear us?
I can.
there we go, that's better, thank you. Go ahead, Pat.
This is a project we've been working on for a couple of years. We, myself and Steve Artis with Division of Criminal Investigations have been trying to put a more coordinated drug enforcement effort forward. While we have two detectives, two agents from DCI in the building that focus primarily on drugs, and we have one of our own detectives assigned. They've been working fairly independently. So we felt pretty strongly if we could get them separated out into an area where they could work together, and perhaps even work more closely with other Northern Hills entities, other counties, other cities, and officers from those agencies it would make a much better effort. DCI has graciously agreed to use state drug fund assets to do a little bit of brick and mortar in our basement, and we're going to get those guys basically a place to work. The lease agreement really just boils down to protection for all parties for their investment and what the city would be willing to do if we suddenly decided we needed that space or something along those lines. There's just an agreement in place to protect everybody that's a part of it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I just wanted to say this is going to be really great to have this partnership inside of this building and do great things here. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Planning and zoning, approve second reading of ordinance 1334, amending chapter 15A under subdivisions. Jan.
Okay. All right, this is a request coming and initiated on behalf of the city, from the city of Spearfish, to make an adjustment to our subdivision ordinance that would allow a hybrid, if you will, of development in the residential lots that are zoned ag zoning, 1 acre lot minimum. And under this proposal, if a property has a city water service leading to a property, the text here, if there's a city water service or a city water main delivery to the parcel of land in question, the subdivision, then the owner would have the option to do on-site wastewater treatment systems, typically septic systems and drain fields. This was presented to the Planning Commission back in late September. Their motion was to go ahead and recommend approval. This went forward to you 2 weeks ago with first reading, but I want to take some time to explain what has happened in the intervening 2 weeks since we met again with Planning Commission. The question came up, or the issue came up of whether or not we should be examining some additional environmental criteria to incorporate into this ordinance that would maybe look at other nuanced approaches here based on the fact that septics are very much a site-specific design. We do have soils mapping and geologic information that guides us, but moreover, all septic design is governed by the state of South Dakota. So an engineer, when they come in, they submit, they show that they have done percolation tests, and there's environmental data that comes in the building permit, and then that gets issued. So in terms of improving upon that, we don't have any immediate recommendations other than what the state puts out there. But in that meeting last week with the Planning Commission, they did talk about the idea of coming up with a inspections program. And as I mentioned previously, only Pennington County really has an ongoing inspections program for septic systems. So in theory, if a system was designed correctly and built correctly, where is the monitoring after the fact to make sure that there is some, if you will, compliance and check and balance throughout the system. I visited this morning a little bit with Mike on this, who is here by Zoom if he wants to chime in. But the staff is not opposed to more investigation for if something like that would be appropriate. So if that is the council's wish, that is what we will explore for you. The Planning Commission didn't generally feel that it was needed. There was some differing opinions on Planning Commission for an inspections type of program, but again, staff is willing, and we believe that we could have some even in-house resources that we could apply here. The total number of existing septic tanks in Spearfish is around 50. About half of those are in the woodlands, and the rest are sort of scattered throughout the city based on annexation histories and such. So that's really the extent of septics within city limits. So again, in summary, the Planning Commission recommendation for 1334 was for approval with the conversation, as I just noted, involving inspections, and if you wish for us to explore that a little more. And I do know Bob Meyer here is with us this evening. He wishes to add a few words here, and if this means that we take a little extra time to examine it, we can do that too. So, we will do as you desire. So I'll unmute you, Bob, I guess, Mayor, if you're ready for.
Yeah, are there any questions of Jana before Bob Meyer speaks on Zoom? No? Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I think I'm gonna unmute him. I think he has to unmute himself. Let me put, Bob, do you want on screen, or do you wanna, I'll try to stop sharing. Let me move I tried this the last time and it was a big, there we go.
There we
Everybody
go.
can see?
We can see you, Bob.
Okay, Bob, can you see us?
I can just barely hear you folks. All the audio from the chamber, unfortunately, has been just barely hearable. On the other hand, when Kyle spoke and Pat spoke, it was clear as a bell. So there's some kind of severe limitations, and if you want to talk to me, you're going to have to probably get up close to your microphones and repeat. Are we ready to go with me at this point?
We are ready, and I do not disagree that we have some severe limitations with Zoom in here. I agree.
I think you said yes.
Yes.
Just mute me if I'm not supposed to be talking. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present some thoughts about this. In the last 2 weeks, I've discovered there is extensive information and easily accessible resources that are available to help us better understand unintended consequences might result from instituting the proposed change. The purpose of my statement is to advocate for a decision delay, a delay in making a decision, so that you can make use of available information and resources. Perhaps we can all agree that almost all ordinances create potential risks and rewards. And ordinances that have successfully served us have achieved an appropriate risk-reward balance. The information I found so far leads me to believe that modifying this existing ordinance as planned without better understanding risk could be expensive, long-lasting, and severe. To successfully serve the public, the risks need to be understood. I am not necessarily opposed to the amended change. I believe the proposed change, as far as it goes, could be a well justifiable start to better serving the public. However, clearly understanding risk could justify the existing proposal change or might justify additional requirements. Locally available resources include Dakota Water Science Center, experts at the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, and in particular, Perry Ron has offered to help us. Other available resources are the staff at Pennington County and Rapid City. It appears that modern efforts by DENR, that's the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the State Department, modern efforts by DENR to understand the geology and hydrology, and geology meaning the soil, the nature of the soils, and hydrology, the nature of water that's flowing and stored in the Black Hills, essentially began in the 1980s as a joint effort with USGS, United States Geological Survey. Many of these studies started in the 80s and 90s, have peer-reviewed reports published in the early 2000s. So a lot of information is relatively new. The Dakota Water Science Center is a USGS branch that's located in Rapid City. They have 11 hydrologists on staff. Their mission is stated to conduct basic hydrologic data collection and scientific investigation in North and South Dakota, including modeling and characterization of climate, surface water, groundwater, and water quality. They know or want to know a lot of what's going on underground here. Rapid City and Pennington County have relatively recently changed their on-site wastewater treatment requirements. We'll ad lib the Pennington County requirement that's perhaps similar to the ordinance that we're contemplating is 27 pages long. Now, and more ad-libbing. I'm not saying we need a 27-page ordinance. I'm not saying we don't. But I think it's interesting that that's what they decided was appropriate. For us to charge ahead without trying to understand why Rapid City and Pennington County decided to take a major political risk with their new ordinance seems questionable, to say the least. Spearfish and other South Dakota locations have documented occurrences of wastewater treatment failures. This does not mean that on-site wastewater systems are bad, nor does the expensive failure of the Spearfish sewage lagoon mean sewage lagoons are bad. I think what it means is we need to try to better understand the limitations and risks that nature presents. Better understanding the risks may lead to some fairly simple, straightforward additions to the ordinance that could impact ordinance success. For example, known unfavorable soil and water characteristics in specific locations might justify extra inspections or different construction specifications. Land developments involving, or proposed land developments involving large numbers of contiguous lots in locations with less than ideal soil and water characteristics might justify extra requirements. Another area that we should investigate before settling on an ordinance change involves understanding recent developments in lift station and waste grinder technologies, plus hybrid treatment systems. Costs have changed. We have local resources that can provide that information. At this stage of knowledge, I think that to proceed with a proposed ordinance change is an unjustifiable act of blind faith. Maybe it would turn out okay, and I certainly hope that it does. However, if there are problems down the road, the city could look worse, spend even more money, and possibly hurt more people, including developers, than it did in the sewage lagoon debacle. Please delay your decision to take more time to learn more. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. I do want to say, and I'm talking very loudly, I'm not sure if you can hear me in the computer, but the sewage lagoons and septic systems, that's comparing apples to oranges. We're talking two different things. So we're not using one as example of the other. So I just wanted to clarify that. And my other thought on this is this has gone through the process of planning and zoning, and we've gone through first reading, and we can delay in the decision making. There's no problem with that, but at this point, we're just looking for more data. Is that accurate? I mean, that's what he's asking for, just what is more data in certain areas.
Mayor,
Yes.
So what I'm understanding is that there is a need to take a deeper evaluation into the eligible locations where this ordinance would apply to make certain that there are not any unknowns there. So can I put a map on them? I'm going to put a map on the screen
Yes.
real quick. Okay. So what we did was we went ahead and looked at the various geological conditions throughout Spearfish, and this is from the USGS soil mapping, and I'm putting some kind of common neighborhoods on here, so it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to trace it with my hand here on the screen. Starting out on the right where my cursor is circling, this is Interstate 90 as it's coming through Spearfish, wrap around exit 10 here, and then exit 8 is over here. So we do have...
Jana, can I pause you? Can you speak into the microphone?
Yep,
Can you pull that closer?
We do have... I need a longer neck or a longer mic. Okay, so what we do have is, let me go for an example. So the way to read this map is, this is a very generalized map, but it does show you areas that are in the yellow, which are proceed with caution. There are some limitations, and when you look at the actual, what does some mean? It means you have to watch for your floodplains, you have to watch for things that are too steep, you have to watch for soils that are draining too quickly, or soils that are clay and don't drain at all. So that's what the yellow means. So the area that is most intended for this particular application is here in the Centennial Valley, just east, this would be Rainbow Road where my hand is on the screen. So this area is the likely candidate. The red is where we do have some limit, we have more limitations than in the yellow. And in the technical in the terminology, there are going to be more difficulties in placing septic tanks within these red zones, but I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that we already kind of have that here. The Woodlands is a good example. This is their general vicinity. They're already in the red zone. Let's see, we have some isolated parcels up on Gold Street. The Winterville Canyon, South Canyon area up in the Mountain Plains probably also is in the red zone. So we do have more or less the red zone, and of course, look at this, here we have Spearfish Creek Corridor as a red zone as well, and that's what this significant limitations to septic is all about, is it's trying to classify land according to its peculiar and very specific geography. So we have a lot of data here by evidence of this particular map. We could certainly spend another, maybe at the very most, another week or so trying to interpret what that means, but in staff's opinion, the DENR has already set up those regulations for what are those requirements. So if their rules are not changing in regards to these areas, we're not really sure what else we could add to their regulations. But we're willing to look further, and we believe that, again, if there's a desire to pursue any additional research for an inspections program, we can do that too. So.
All right,
I have
Council,
one-
yes.
yeah, I have a question for Jana. Some of the information that Bob brings up, has this come after first reading, or are these things that you've already evaluated as a city regarding, let's say, Pennington County and Rapid City?
This map we located after first reading. And I did visit with one of the contacts that Bob provided, Dr. Ron at the School of Mines, and his focus has been on the behavior of septics with some of these extreme geologic conditions and how they interact together. And not necessarily is the DENR rulemaking stringent enough, but given the fact all things equal, if you have condition A next to condition B, here's what's likely to happen. So we just have not had the opportunity to visit extensively with Pennington County staff, but back to our presentation with Planning Commission 2 weeks ago, Pennington County has set up an inspections program that, assuming everything went in, was designed correctly, was built correctly, every 6 or so years you have to go through a permitting process that allows you to have your tank inspected and recertified every so often.
Any other questions from council? Yes, Marty?
Mr. Myers is saying, please delay your decision and take time to learn more. What kind of timeline, I guess, are we just talking next council meeting or?
Yeah, go ahead,
Mayor, if you'd like me to respond.
Yeah.
What I would do is follow up with these other jurisdictions, Pennington County. I didn't know if Rapid City was doing a regulation or extra regulations. I could find out what it is they're doing, see if it has any applicability to our situation, and then bring it back. It wouldn't take long for us to have that conversation to see if there's anything else that we should incorporate into this version of the code. But once again, we would like the input of the DENR staff, because they're technically the rulemaking body, because those rules are based on the protection of groundwater resources, which are the state's assets. They're not our assets, they belong to the state of South Dakota. But we could look into it and see if there's any more knowledge to be gained to update our ordinance.
Okay, Marty, anything else?
Yes, this changes basically 5 different areas in town.
Yeah,
And knowing that there's septic systems at the 2 housing developments that are next to the airport, and I believe there hasn't ever been any issues there, then having septic systems there in that Centennial Valley, to me, sounds like it would be okay, especially when those are 1/4 acre lots and this is gonna be 1 acre, is that right?
Yep, 1 acre.
Yeah.
1 acre.
But if you take that same criteria and you put it in some of the other 4 locations, is it possible that somebody would be putting a septic system into a gypsum layer that could potentially have problems down the line?
Yeah. The answer is possibly, because you would have to though assume that the engineer who's got his stamp and his seal on that plan document either did not do enough percolation tests, somehow had tested the wrong location. Sometimes when they do the perk test and they say, okay, we performed the perk test here. You have to build the drain field exactly there. You can't move the drain field without starting over. So if they did a percolation test and they hit a layer and a void of gypsum, then they have to say, not a good site, we're gonna move on. The whole process depends upon a lot of ethical behavior in the field in order to avoid those circumstances.
Anything else? No? Yes.
Well, I guess when you look at it, it would seem like it's bigger than us. You look at the 3 mile area that we've got, you've got Lower Upper Valley. You really have the whole county, so it's really a bigger issue than just us, it would seem from my perspective.
Mayor, can I ask
Yes.
a question?
Yes.
If you can you tell me are we following DENR's guidelines? Yes, is that?
Yeah, yes, when an engineer submits a plan, they are the ones that are accountable to DNR. We don't double check
Right.
their numbers, but yes.
Right, and they have to be tested accordingly, and it's gone through the process. I would move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Clark,
No.
Eisenbrod,
Yes.
Herman,
No.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Clarenbeek,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Next, approve the first reading of ordinance 1335. This is amending Appendix A, minimum off-street parking requirements. Jana.
Okay, so kind of in an ongoing effort, as we have been tackling and removing regulatory related hurdles for redevelopment, we came upon a need to adjust some parking requirements in downtown once again. We do not have a good parking rate for studio apartments, which are studio or 1 bedroom apartments where they have very large single room. Sometimes they're 1 person occupied, sometimes they're 2. But what we'd like to do is go ahead and adjust that from the ordinance requires, let me go to my page here. So the ordinance requires we take and we treat multifamily dwellings and we apply a uniform parking rate of 2.25 spaces per unit across the board. And what this results in doing is, especially in your downtown redevelopment areas, it may be artificially raising up more parking than would actually be needed for a studio apartment. So our proposal, and this is from the Planning Commission recommended approval, would be to adjust that for your studio and efficiency dwelling apartments, and also a 1 bedroom multifamily dwelling only in the downtown, the C1 CC zoning district. In the outlying areas, the reserves, the sandstones, et cetera, they would be subject to the regular rules, but we believe this is a more appropriate parking rate considering the lots are smaller. And we think it would really incentivize redevelopment of the downtown if we just put a parking rate that's more appropriate to a studio unit. So we're proposing 1.5 spaces per unit instead of 2.25. The second part of this is we want to eliminate some redundancy inside of the parking code that talks about sharing parking spaces between sites. We're getting rid of section 6, that's a special plan. It still retains the features of the special plan for sharing. It does require planning commission and city council approval and recommendation respectively, or the other way around. But what it does is it allows us to model parking demand for what uses have their peak demand at different times of the day. For example, an office building, their peak usage is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but a residence, either next door or on the same site, would be 5 p.m. till the next morning. So we think this would be a great way to allow for adjoining sites or sites within close proximity to each other to share their parking on their private property. They would need to submit a plan showing those uses, and then again, it's kind of it's a discretionary call for the planning commission and council. We would put it in front of you, and then you can say yes or no, and then if it's a yes, then it goes up and gets recorded as a covenant, and therefore we have now adequate parking for both sides because they're sharing during off-peak hours. That is the extent of this amendment, and planning commission recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
I just want to say one thing. I would have liked to have seen it get even tighter, down to 1 parking spot per studio apartment. But I think this is really exciting as far as the downtown development is concerned, and I'm thrilled to see this change. I think it's moving downtown specifically in a really great direction. So thanks for all the work on that.
Yeah. I want to say something too. I know in the past we've had some issues with redevelopment down there just because they can't meet parking requirements. So I think this will really help meet those and have a lively downtown with people living there. That'd be very good. So thank you for the work on this. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Public Works, approve the Sky Ridge Detour Agreement with Lawrence County.
Good
Hey,
evening,
Dusty.
ma'am. This detour agreement between us and Lawrence County, essentially how Rainbow Road and Centennial Road are now, as we route traffic through them, they want to make sure that those roads look like that once the detour is no longer required. Myself and Adam and Alan from the county went and inspected the roads last week, and we videotaped it, and we agreed to what the condition of the road is, and then after the detour is complete, we'll go back out, drive it again, and then make sure that it looks like that, and then repair any damages that we have.
Okay, very good.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Then approve the airport grant initiation request.
This is actually just a delay. We aren't going to be requesting a grant this year, and all those monies will be transferred to 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approve the final pay estimate and change order for the SIP lining project.
Yes, ma'am. This is a 10.45% increase. The majority of the increase came from an 18-inch CIPP liner. We added 370 feet and change for $23,000 to the CIPP. We also added 38 feet of the 21-inch lining to our trunk line on the way to the wastewater treatment plant for a total of $3,173. And then other things were ancillary type additions to it, but the bulk was those 2 items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Eisenbrown,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Claravik,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. That also includes signing the certificate of final completion, okay. Just want to make sure we don't need to do that separately. And then accept or deny sealed surplus bids.
Last week, we opened up all of the surplus bids. went through them, compared them with the appraisals, made our recommendation, forwarded that up to the city administrator who looked through our work, and then we have it in your packages for what we've recommended.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Accept HDR's proposal for construction, administration, and inspection for Sky Ridge Development Phase 1.
This will help us out as we continue to search for an additional engineer in the city. The cost is $138,730. They'll be doing construction administration throughout the year on the Sky Ridge.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, roll call vote.
Clark,
Yes.
Eisenbrown,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Clairby,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, approve the bill list dated October 19.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Okay, roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Eisenbrown,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Clairby,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Mayor and council items. Anything from the council? Okay, seeing none. I know, I'm hoping you saw the letter that I signed on with other mayors across the state, just encouraging people to help flatten this thing out. Lawrence County is a bit lower than the state average, but we are still seeing increases, and we each need to do our part. So that was just the recommendation in a time of increase, you know, and then we expected that with with everyone going back to school and with universities back in order, so it is expected. And as I stated, even Monument Health, this is right in their expectations also, and we're hoping that November we'll see a flattening and then coming back the other direction, but you know, nothing is guaranteed, but I would encourage everyone to wear masks. If you can, keep yourself safe, because in doing that, you're keeping your family and your community safe too. So thank you for that. Anything else that we need to touch on before we go to staff? Jana, I guess Mike's on there. I'm not sure if Mike wants to say anything, or if you want to say anything for him.
I don't think he's got audio on.
I know they're having a hard time hearing.
Sure. Jana, do you want to just go ahead?
I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Ashley?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Michelle back there in the corner, anything for finance?
Nope, all good.
Dusty?
Quickly. That's a great segue, ma'am, about the COVID and snow. Obviously, we had some snow the last couple days, and then the forecast for Saturday is 7, 8, 9 inches or so. We're very concerned in the streets and snow and parks type of world. If we start losing folks to COVID-19, it's going to be hard to plow the streets. So we ask that everybody out there be patient with us. We're going to try our best, but it's definitely a concern for us as we move forward. But we'll hopefully try to make that, if we start losing people, known to everybody out there, and just slow down when it's snowing and it's icy, because we're going to be doing our best. But if we start losing folks, it's going to be tough to keep up.
Losing as in?
Not dying. Yeah.
Just
Not
being
dying.
quarantined for a
Yes.
time is
Yes.
what we're talking
Maybe
about.
they could just stay quarantined in the truck.
Thank you.
And then lastly, I handed a letter of resignation to Mike Harmon last week, and he took it really quickly, and he was very excited about it, so I was taken aback by that. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. I've enjoyed my time here, and I'll be here a few more months to get you through the winter, well, part of the winter.
Part of the
And I'll hand it
winter.
over to whoever replaces me, but thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dusty. We appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you.
And we still have you for a few months, so
Yes.
get us through the beginning of snow season anyway. Thank you. Let's see, any other staff? Fire, police? Like to say anything? Yeah, come on up. Come on up to the microphone, so possibly people online could hear you.
We've got our wildland crew out. They just extended for another 14. in Colorado, so we'll see what happens. They'll be back about November 1st, so everything, we're having a busy season. We're at 283, we ended last year at 286, so we're probably going to be 325, 330. It's kind of what numbers project, so we're up a little bit. Things are going good. So.
Very good, thank you.
Just a quick comment of thank you for supporting us earlier. We do not take that lightly. It's an extremely hard decision to make. And we believe it's in the best interest of the community and their safety. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Anyone I missed? Okay, so we'll move on to a time of public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please go to the podium, state your name. You'll have 2 minutes.
Oh, 1 sec. Say hi, folks. John Dale, 239 West Jackson, Mayor, Council, and folks in attendance. I'll try to go very quickly. I've got a lot here, a lot of ground to cover. I support the DCI integration, go after the meth, go after the pharma, go after the date rape stuff, go after that tainted, nasty cannabis that is coming through the market, and hopefully soon we're going to see a defeat of the black market that is allowing underground forces to cross-sell cannabis users on other really nasty drugs. So I didn't expect to say that tonight. I've had lots of feedback recently from various folks in the community, and I wanted to bring some of that today. One individual came to me and said, I have 300 guys who will bring jackhammers, and we can take out those medians, John, if you just run for mayor and win. And I said, maybe there's a better use of those resources than to undo the medians, but there is some animus building for that particular project for various reasons. Also, I guess I got a crew of 300 people with jackhammers. If you need anything removed, just let me know. I've had a few run-ins with police, and I just want to say your beat cops are doing great. In particular, Officer Little was highlighted by someone, so give her an atta girl. Regarding COVID and the masks. So here's something that Senator Paul put on his Twitter today. The only published randomized clinical study of cloth masks shows 97% penetration of particles and a higher infection rate than the control. So the masks in this study were actually resulting in a higher infection rate, possibly because of the rebreathing of infectious material, which could be concentrated viral material. And that initial exposure is what determines how quickly the onset of any virus is. So that is BMJ Open Medical Journal. The name of the study is a cluster randomized trial of cloth masks compared with medical masks in healthcare workers. In case anyone wants to look that up. So let's see, there's a lot more info at plainstribune.com. That's my information systems play. I turned myself into an online talk show personality in order to promote my technology. Also, Google 77, that's the number 77, NFL false positives. So these PCR tests are returning a crazy rate of false positives. So if the positive results from the PCR tests are driving our reactions, we need to look at how accurate those actually are. And I think it's an NBC article, so just go read on that, please. 77 NFL false positives. Plains Tribune is receiving 10,000 unique visitors a month and about 3.5 million hits a month now. So we've grown, and then that's just what's coming to the server. And I encourage my audience to redistribute those MP3s. So who knows what the actual reach is, but it's fantastic growth. I'm excited about it. As I said earlier, it exercises a software technology platform, takes much of the burden off of the tough database challenges, and I'm seeking opportunities in technology in order to exercise my skills in other areas other than radio distribution. I'd be happy to volunteer for a technology committee. I do have emails, multiple emails out to Northern Hills Technology already, reaching out to them because I know they're doing a lot of work in local technology. So that's it. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Joe, anything to say?
You think I should say something?
Well, you're sitting there looking like you want to, maybe.
Just want to thank you for passing the septic tank ordinance. I do think that you probably should proceed with taking a look at some controls or inspections. I think if a person goes out and inspects, I think that's good. So oftentimes you hear people talk about wanting, well, pump them every 3 years. That isn't the solution. You do have 50 of those septic tanks right now. Just a little past history. When you talk about the sewer lagoon, you know, the reason the sewer lagoon was built was because septic tanks were failing in the valley. You know, they were on very small lots. Everybody had their own well. They were polluting their wells. So there was definitely a big need at that time. Over at the Hat Ranch, I think I mentioned one other time, this type of a subdivision we did over there at that time, that they required 2-acre lots, city water. We performed perk tests on every lot so that we knew that it was a workable area. So I would say any developer that's going to do this better go out and perform perk tests before he puts in a bunch of streets and all that, goes to all that expense, so he'll know that they'll work. So, you know, that may be one requirement. Belfouche required that of us to do that, to make sure that they work. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Thanks, Joe. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll speak privately, but unofficially, but in our family's tragedy, I just want to thank city and even the citizens just for their kindness and generosity. It was really overwhelming, but I just want to say another thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, so we'll close the time of public comment, and then I would think I need a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.